I just heard something acknowledged that they literally created it. And it wasn't the first time that you do this cyclically. And that part of what made these people in these shelters and these hospitals so arrogant and cruel is you literally financed their jobs and their endeavors with stock you created based upon occult activity that gave them some sort of Nazi essence as underwriting. That's what I just saw. You make it. You literally create that kind of stock and then you use it to finance endeavors as completely cruel and ridiculous as what I've been experiencing. That you underwrite people to be in a situation where they think they're somehow entitled to act completely irresponsible and arrogant and cruelly. And so it's true. I can hear them. I can hear them, and you underwrite and you support them in thinking that way. You know what that also means? That means that there are pages and pages and pages and files and files and files of patient notes where you've got people that you've created, or rather, you've paid to be Nazis in a position of arrogance where they are projecting that onto people you try to pass off as clients or in need of some sort of medical assistance. And because you refuse to prosecute them or hold them accountable, this has been going on for years, hasn't it? See, I saw my patient notes from San Francisco. It was disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting. I don't understand why somebody in a supervisory position wasn't humiliated. And if you did, as I suspect, try to like anonymize those things and sell them to other people to make products out of, you can't just blame people that have a technology platform. You intentionally created this. That's how arrogant this was. And that's how unforgivable this is. I've watched you do this thing for years. It doesn't make any sense. Where you put me on some pole where there's like an underlying trying to make me a white supremacist. And usually it's a white supremacist with teenage boys. I'm a middle-aged woman. If I get angry and yell out and scream and analyze, I've had particular experience that gives me the capacity for that kind of critical thinking. You're not teaching people to be critical thinkers anymore. You're trying to choreograph and orchestrate it so that certain people are white supremacists. And now here's the other side of the coin. You're so arrogant and cruel that you underwrite people into being Nazis and white supremacists. And you slander their actual culture, including their ancient culture. And you commodify it into bullshit products somebody else feels entitled to sport. So that just is even more insulting to their spirit. And then you set them up. You set them up, and then you give that Nazi stock to people that aren't white. And you've created a whole secret army of actual Nazis that just aren't white. You would never call somebody that is brown-skinned or black-skinned a Nazi, because Nazism was about white supremacy. Except that's exactly what you did. You literally created Nazis, and then you launder Nazis in specific token crimes, and then you give the Nazi stock to people of color that are by and large in places like hospitals and in shelters. That's how you created your Nazi army of COVID-19. That's why they act so arrogant and ridiculous. And they sit there on their cell phone, pinging each other's genitals all fucking day. They sit there at the goddamn fucking gate or the door, watching porn while they're supposed to be a security guard. You literally created this. You've been creating it for years. And I know you do similar things to black people and you do similar things to brown people, but there's something about that white supremacist stock, isn't there? There's something about the Nazi stuff that if they're, that's why they do it, isn't it? You've trained them to be good girls and boys. You've trained them to be good little performers of color. Because if they wait long enough and they're good enough, at some point you're going to do one of those white supremacist busts and you're going to give them the Nazi stock. And they take it. They take it and they believe that they're able to use it. And that they're going to know impunity in their crimes. You really literally do it that way, don't you? See, I've seen something like what I saw last night before, but I didn't understand what it was. This is what you did with that school shooting in Florida. This is what you did with that school shooting in Texas. And what did the responsible people do? They gave them health care. They wanted them on drugs. They wanted them on drugs until they needed to trigger somebody to do a major stock transfer like this. That was a lot of people you completely slandered as white supremacists at the Capitol. It's a lot of people you created as Nazis. You created them to be Nazis so that you could try to send this where? To San Francisco? You mean because Hillary Clinton colonized San Francisco as her special enclave and she promised her rainbow coalition of Nazis that after they laid low and created people as white supremacists to frame them, then she would use the Department of Justice to launder Nazi stock back to them? Is that why when I called San Francisco, when the rest of the fucking state was on fire, everybody was so intonated and attenuated and completely criminal? No, they speak with authority, but everything they fucking say is a lie. And you did the same thing to Chicago. You do this periodically. You did it in February of 2020 when I called them because you let them take my former supervisor's little daughter and make pornography with her to finance the compliance department I used to work for. You made me watch while you transferred some account connected to a lawyer in his case in Texas to California using my former supervisor's Filipino-American daughter. And when I called them, you used that transaction to transfer Nazi stock. See, I got the little girl in the pornoscape. Somebody else got the Nazi stock transferred through them, didn't they? Did they get a cut? Was I supposed to have been drugged or cut off in some way so I didn't see it? Because you were doing it all day yesterday. This is that shit you set up this time last year with your big German leather daddy and the account that looks like Ocasio-Cortez. And it was that fucking literal. It was that fucking literal. And I don't believe she doesn't know. And I don't believe she doesn't take a cut for herself. What are you going to... You know what? You're not going to get away with this. You can only try to bitch down white people and then pour salt in their water so that they get all sensitive. And yin, they let you resiliency them in your little spectacle where you act like you're a real badass revolutionary, but at the end of the fucking day, all you're going to do is make up a lie and bide your time. You let them program you to do this. So all the other shit you say is shit. Why am I still here? What fucking sense does it make? All the other shit that you try to put as a meme on your cryptos is complete fucking bullshit. There wasn't a case. You never tried my case. I never had a case. You let them kidnap me and you're pissed because I was supposed to be a special hooker and I'm not. What does it do to all your other fucking hookers if someone like me refuses to do her job? You know what? This is like that bullshit you guys say. Well, we can't make an exception for you because if we make an exception for you, we have to make an exception for everyone else. So if you don't get me, to be your good little fucking hooker payoff, then that means that all the other fucking women you kidnap might be able to not have to live their lives as your fucking hooker payoff? That's exactly what you've been saying to me for the last 10 fucking years. Bitch, you're the fucking hooker. Bitch, you're the one we sent out there to go fuck them and do our job. We can't make an exception for you because if we acknowledge that you said no, and it was okay to say no to being forced into prostitution in order to aid and abet fucking terrorism, well, then all those women who said yes, well, they might think they can say no. See, that's how fucking primitive it is. You don't even want to think about it as crime because you are more than willing to do it yourself. The problem is, well, if we acknowledge you said no, and there's any merit at all to you saying no, that means all those other fucking people we banked on saying yes, well, they might have a right to say no to. That's what you've been saying for 10 fucking years.